In today's video, you'll see me doing camper maintenance, which is maintaining the axles on our fifth wheel RV. Each year I take my spindles apart, check the bearings, take them all the way down, clean them out good with gas or brake cleaner, re-grease them, and I have a packer to pack the bearings. So I pack everything, put it back together per specs. So I do this once a year. Well, this year I packed my bearings. Seemed like everything was going good. I'm going to get a temp gun where I can check the temperature on each tire. But right now, when I get out to get diesel or we stop, I'll just go back and sort of feel of it and make sure nothing's hot. On our recent trip to the beach on the way home, when I got out to check it, I was getting diesel and I looked back and my tire was half flat on the back of the camper. So I went back there and it was super hot. And I didn't know it at the time. The reason my tire was hot, we have aluminum wheels and the wheel actually cracked. So it was letting air out. And now every fourth camping season I change tires. You can see those tires, they look hardly worn at all. But that is the fourth season, so I have new tires on there. The tire got so hot it bubbled out on each side. If I'd have drove 5 more miles down the interstate, it would have blew out and it could have tore up my camper. Usually when they blow out, it tears all of this up and you got major problems. Luckily, that did not happen. So we changed the tire, thought we was fixed. But the hubs was hot. I couldn't figure out why they were hot. I thought my bearings for some reason was bad because I knew I spec'd them right and had everything correct. So we're about 60 miles from home. So we limp it on in. I'll pull over about every 10 miles and check it. They were super hot. I could not figure out why. So when I got home, I went to the parts store, bought all new bearings, races, seals, because you don't ever replace a bearing unless you replace the seal. I bought all new parts to put on both axles. Well, I also ordered a brand new set of tires. So I told the guy at the tire place, he has limited parking. I said, I'll just take the tires off and bring the tires to you to make it easier on you. When I took the back tire off, that's when I seen my true problems. I had major problems. About a month and a half ago, the only thing I can figure, we hit a major pothole on Interstate 59. I'm thinking it broke one side of the spring hanger because one side is rusty and corroded over, the other side is shiny, so it was a fresh break. It had broke them off on both sides because I kept driving it and didn't know it. And when you turn, it puts a lot of pressure. So me being a welder and a fabricator, when I got home, I jacked it all up, put new spring hangers on the back. I got new tires, had to go buy a new wheel. So now, as far as I know, I did a test run. I pulled it about 25 miles, make sure everything was good. Recheck my lug nuts. Anytime you take a camper tire off or any trailer tire and put it back on, always check your lug nuts at like 25 miles and 50 miles till you make sure everything is on there and tight good. But now I think we're ready to go. Now I have bearing buddies on mine, so I pack them with the packer I got, and then I put my grease gun on there with high temp grease, wheel bearing grease, and pump it up till I see grease starting to come out the outer bearing, and then put it back on. So I know I'm greased up and good to go. And hopefully we won't have no more problems, but from time to time, when you're active like we are, you run into problems. No big deal. When you do, just stop and fix it and go on.
So Marty, tell everybody what you're doing.
Well, once a year, you're supposed to pack the bearings on the camper. But to do that, you have to take the tire off, the spindle nut, pull the hub off. It's got an inner and outer bearing, and you have to replace the seals when you replace the inner bearing. So I have new seals. You can see here I have this one packed. It's real important to get grease down inside the bearings. So I use a packer. You can do it in your hand, but I just like doing a packer because it's just a little quicker, and I know I get good grease coverage inside the bearings. already completed the other side. So now I'm on the second side. The small bearing is the outer, the big bearing is the inner, and I've got the inner greased, ready to put the seal in, and I'm just going to grease the outer, and then I'll be ready to reassemble. Just push down on it till you see the grease come out through the bearing. Pull the bearing out. So you can see the grease coming out, and then I just like to take and roll it there, get a little grease and roll it, make sure I got real good coverage. Looks good. Lightly kind of bend the seal that keeps the grease from coming out. Get down flush. Okay, once we get that, we're ready to reassemble. Put a little extra on here. That goes on like that. Then we slide on the inner bearing. We have a nut or a washer that has a flat spot. Go in there. what I do, the way I've been taught, is tighten it all the way up, tight, and then back it off. So if you get it too tight, it will get hot. Heat up your bearing. Okay, you can see there, see how it doesn't turn real sort of tight. Okay, so it's tight. Now you don't want it tight like that, so then I just take my nut and boost, put it where my nut is loose like that. And then I insert, there's a safety clip that goes on. Okay. That way the nut, it won't let the nut turn. And we'll put the hub on. Put the cap. It's time consuming, but it's not complicated. But it's real important. You can see now how freely it turns. Which my grease and everything look good, but I like to check it at least, well, once a year. I have gone 2 years in between, but I try to do it once per year.
So what's next? The other side?
I've already made the other side. I just like this one.
No, I mean this one right here is
Yeah,
next.
that's all I like.
And then the tires go back on?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm rotating the tires. So I do that every time I do this. I rotate the tires. And I wash them out in gas, the bearings. To clean them, I wash them in gas and then blow them out real good with air compressor.
This is how you get it started.
Yes, that's how you get to that nut. And it actually has grease fittings. You can actually put you can pop this off, and then behind here, you can take the tire off and you can put a grease gun on there and grease it, but it takes about 2 tubes of grease, because what you do when you pump it in there, it pumps it in the back bearing, all the way through the axle spindle, all the way out here, and you pump all that old grease out that looks like that till you get good red grease. But when you do that, you still have some of the old grease in there. So instead of doing that, I just take it apart, because I feel like it's more the better way to do it. But it does have that quick fitting there where you can just grease it and not disassemble all of this. But you can see the black grease, and that's just from a year, which there's still a lot of red grease in there. And you can see the nut. When I go to take it off, it's already just hand tight. You don't even have to have a wrench. I only got the wrench to tighten it back up and loosen it. And then you got your nut. Then you have your washer.
And you're putting all this stuff in gas to clean?
I do. And then I'll run, after I run it through that, I'll spray it with some brake cleaner and then blow it out good with air compressor. Okay, so now you can see right here, sometimes you can take and just do that and the bearing and everything and just pop right out in your hand. So I'll just drop all this in some gas. Let it be soaking. Then after I blow it out with gas, and I spray it with brake cleaner, and then after I do that, I'll make sure you blow it out real good with air compressor, and then I go back and pack it. Now this back bearing, will stay in because the seal holds it in. You should just be able to take this, pull it right off. And then also I checked my brakes while I got it apart. So it looks like I'm good for another year on brakes.
There's still a lot of red grease there too.
Yeah, it's because I do my maintenance. I keep it up once a year. If you went like 5 years, you could have major problems.
You don't want major problems going down the highway pulling that camper, do you?
And on tires, every 4th season we put a new set of tires on, even though they still look brand new, because they dry from the inside out. And you see a lot of blowouts.
So
and you could still have a blowout, but luckily, you know, we have an error.
So even though the tires look good, they could have dry rot on the inside?
Dry on the inside, and that's why a lot of people, they blow out because they don't change. The tread looks good. And you have a date on your tires that tells when it's manufactured. So when you buy new tires, make sure they're not selling you a 3-year-old tire that's been sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
That's good to know.
So here's the
Oh yeah.
inner bearing. This is the old seal, but when you take them out, like, there's a chance, you know, that I could put that seal back in and it'd be okay. But for $8 a piece, I prefer just to put in new seals. That'll keep the moisture out and it'll keep it from leaking grease on the inside.
Now, if somebody had to go get this done, hire this done,
Oh, you don't want to do that.
well, that's what I was going to say. Is it very expensive? So people know if you can do it. But if you can't, what are you looking at spending?
I have no idea. I would think $200 minimum. But we do everything we can ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it for somebody for $200.
You would or
But
would not?
And them furnish the parts.
Oh.
I would. But it's for me, you know, by the time you get everything set up, you know, you can count on 5 hours for me because I don't do it all the time. Time to get all my tools out, everything I need, everything took apart, put back together, taking my time. It takes me about.
Because you don't want to rush it, do you?
I don't. I just take my time, make sure I get it dry.
Okay. So you're just going to do basically the same thing that you just got through doing on this next one, and then the tires go on, back on after you rotate. You're rotating them, and then.
Got them set where they go. That tire there come off the
So
back, so it goes to the front. This one here goes to the back.
So you got them how you want them over here. So already.
Because I'm forgetful. I'll forget in an hour if I don't. Place
Gotcha. Gotcha. All righty.
Got to agree with it.
So that's the basic way to put on or change out
Not changing out. I'm packing the.
or packing the bearings. So how you pack the bearings on a camper to hopefully not have any trouble going down the road on vacation, right? You don't want to start your vacation out or end it like that either. Start or end it in a.
Especially boat trailers where they back them in the water a lot.
Yeah.
See a lot of that.
All right. Well, anything else you think they need to know before we say goodbye?
Not that I'm aware of.
All righty.
There's a lot you need to know, but I don't know what.
Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
You're welcome.
He's already got one tire put back on. So all he likes is that last one, it looks like. Well, getting it all put back together. Finishing up, and he'll be done with his tire rotation, his greasing the bearings and all that stuff that he has to do before we go camping. This side he already has done. It's been completed. I think he completed it yesterday. So now what you've seen in this clip here is all prior. This is happened after I did all the work that you seen me do packing the bearings. So this was the aftermath of that. So the bearings were correct.
It's just I had other problems and didn't know it. But now we're ready to go.